Hello, darlings, and welcome to the first and hopefully last time you'll have to stare at these atrocious curtains that came with our house, and it's been 3 years and we have not changed yet. So sometime in the next 2 weeks, these curtains will be going by the wayside, maybe to be destroyed in a ceremonial bonfire, but also they might produce a toxic waste. So maybe we don't do that. But anyway, hi and welcome back to the channel. I am coming to you today to talk about my 5 favorite cookbooks of all time. As you know, we love to cook, we love to bake in this household. Everything from sourdough bread at least once a month to cookies to you name it. We make it at home, and cooking together, my husband and I, is just a really lovely way for us to spend time together and disconnect from phones and technology, put a record on, and just be. We love cooking. Perhaps you do too, and that's why you're here. I have done a few different cookbook reviews. I'll put those in the comments below so you can check those out. But today, particularly, I wanted to come to you and talk about my go-to cookbooks. When I'm looking down the barrel of the week, say it's Sunday, and I am planning out the recipes we'll make, these are the 5 cookbooks that I turn to week over week, month over month, that are just so stable and so consistent. You can't go wrong. We'll go one by one. I'll tell you what I love about them and the authors of these cookbooks, a little context, and I want to hear from you. What cookbooks do you have your eyes on, or do you love, and that are so worn down they're basically falling apart or covered in grease stains? Cookbooks are truly my love language. I've lost count of how many we have. We probably have at least 50, maybe 60. Look, this is an addiction that isn't hurting anybody. So, in no order specifically, these are my 5 favorite cookbooks that you need. Start Here by Sohla El-Waylly. Sohla has been a longtime chef and content creator in the food space. I first was introduced to her when she was at the Bon Appetit Test Kitchen, and then at the New York Times. There's more recently, she's written about her experience at the New York Times, and I'll link that Substack below because you should check out her Substack. So she's now kind of foraying out on her own and creating content with her husband, Ham. I like their videos. They're really sweet. They have some really, really lovely ones I turned to for Thanksgiving in particular this past year when we were menu planning for Thanksgiving. Sohla El-Waylly has Start Here. She came out with this in 2024, and it's divided into, which I think is very clever, both 2 sections, and then within those sections, they're organized by technique and difficulty. So they kind of ramp you up over time. If you're newer to cooking, I would find this very helpful so that if you're at the beginning of the savory section, you're probably on techniques that are a little more approachable, a little more basic, and then you build from there. You can really jump around and pick what is your favorite. I like that it's taken a bit of a different approach to some of the more trendy cookbooks I've seen recently that are just entirely seasonal, or you're seeing similar recipes over and over and over again. You're not really getting that with Start Here. One of our favorite recipes that we've made a bajillion times now are her chilled green tahini soba noodles that are so addictive. She makes this creamy tahini green sauce with cilantro and parsley that is so darn good, and crispy semi-pickled red onions with sumac. I've also made her chocolate chip cookies. As you know, I'm a big fanatic about chocolate chip cookies, and it's my litmus test for any cookbook to see, okay, what are we dealing with here? Did you test your recipes? What are we talking about? And her specifically, she makes them with powdered sugar, which gives a really interesting crumb and texture to the cookie I enjoy. This cookbook, I would say I'd recommend for complete beginners. Start from the beginning of the savory section or start from the beginning of the sweet section and work your way through it. It's long. It's almost encyclopedic. It's a big book, a big undertaking, but you won't need to turn to another cookbook for quite some time. This will take you a long time to work through. And one of my favorite ads that she does is gives you like a few different menu suggestions. So if you're like, look, I want to cook a bunch of dishes and have friends, have family over, go and refer to her suggested menus, because who doesn't love to have like cozy nights in with friends and family? So thank you, Sohla. Love your cookbook. Big fan. Okay, so next up, this cookbook comes from another content creator in the food space, specifically the plant-based food space, Nisha Vora. Her big vegan flavor cookbook came out in 2024, the year we got married. I know that because I put it on our registry list and at one point made the mistake of telling my husband I was the most excited for all year for this cookbook to come out. And he's like, you realize we're getting married this year, right? And I'm like, yes. Also that. So Nisha Vora of Rainbow Plant Life has an extensive list of recipes on her website, which I'll link below. And started out with an Instapot cookbook. We don't have an Instapot, so while I was excited about that, it seemed nice. Never really did try it out. But then when Big Vegan Flavor came out, again, like Start Here from Sohla El-Waylly, it is encyclopedic. It is huge, and it covers everything from, building your pantry, building your list of ingredients, to technique and beyond. I enjoy her presence, her energy. Like me, she's a big reader, so I guess in the parasocial relationship you develop with anyone online, Nisha Vora has I feel like we'd be friends in real life, things like that. Big reader, big traveler, and she shares really openly about her and her husband's life and their decision not to have kids. So on many levels, I find her really lovely and inspiring, and Big Vegan Flavor is our go-to when we want to eat plant-based recipes. For a while there, we were mostly eating plant-based. I would say, we've really kind of stepped away from only eating plant-based in our home, but we do do a lot of dairy-free recipes, and I'll call it in particular the chocolate brownie recipe that she has in this one, which she's perfected over the years. She has a link to a similar recipe on her website. She makes these brownies with aquafaba, which is chickpea water, combined with sugar, and whips it until it becomes almost like an egg white semi-meringue consistency. And these are some of the best brownies I have ever had. They're vegan, right? And that helps that they have a lot of vegan butter, and then also chocolate and cocoa powder and chocolate chips. And so there's no secret as to why they're good, but that paired with a little raspberry compote, paired with a little ice cream, you could serve it to someone who's the biggest vegan skeptic, and they would be won over. It's that good. She's very good with punchy flavors and different textures that she pairs with different dishes, and they're extremely versatile. She calls that out in pretty much every recipe. It's, here's a variation on this, here's what you could try differently. There are, I would say, 500 pages worth of this cookbook, but within each recipe, there are multiple variations on each one. If you're curious about vegan cooking, I would say start with her website, and then, like me, buy into the whole kit and caboodle, buy Big Vegan Flavor as well. But shout out to Nisha Vora. Really adore what you do, and keep it up. Next up on my favorite cookbooks of all time is Hot Sheet by Olga, Massov, and Sanaë Lemoine. I was introduced by Sanaë from her fiction writing. She's a fiction writer. Of course, I've talked about in videos prior, I love books set in Paris and France generally, and Sanaë has family in France. So I was introduced to her as a fiction author, but she is a woman of many talents. Came out with Hot Sheet 2 years ago as well. I was a little skeptical of this cookbook at first. I am not gonna lie. I was like, okay, the premise, the conceit of this book is that every recipe can be made with or on a sheet pan. I'm like, okay, we don't have an air fryer. We don't have an Instapot. So we don't have any of those like tool specific cookbooks. Like you make everything in this one thing. I don't know. I was skeptical. I was like, how good could this be? Right? The answer is like pretty damn good. So Hot Sheet is literally a cookbook full of recipes that you can make with a sheet pan or two, which most people have at least a sheet pan. I find the recipes pretty easy, quick, accessible. Like these are my go-to recipes when I'm like, I've got half an hour to pull something together. Big vegan flavor, for example, I go to when I'm like, I got time on my hands to make something really complex, or at least like with multiple elements. Hot Sheet really simplifies it down without sacrificing in flavor or quality. Things like a bean quesadilla where you use 2 sheet pans. The top sheet pan actually weighs the quesadilla down as it bakes, but keeps it crispy. Amazing. There's a halloumi, a roasted halloumi and grape recipe that's really great for guests. Japanese oven burgers with this like positively addictive ketchup sauce that combines kind of like Japanese Asian flavors with the classic American ingredient, ketchup. I can't recommend this cookbook more, right? This is surprisingly and joyfully easy, but punchy and flavorful and playful. So if you're interested in trying out a cookbook that really doesn't require you to have like a ton of like kitchen set up, then Hot Sheet is for you. Last 2. Athena Calderone, like really all of the women I've mentioned so far, which I'm realizing all of these cookbooks are written by women. Just happened that way. Athena Calderone is a designer, former model, and she operates in both interior design, but also food. I adore everything she does. She's a lovely line of furniture for Crate & Barrel. Shout out to Athena Calderone. Her cookbook, Cook Beautiful, came out in 2018, I believe. I would say this is our probably most used and most heavily loved cookbook. It is falling apart at the seams. The back cover I needed to tape back on. Very, very adored and loved in our household. I would say Cook Beautiful is what I go to when I want modern American or even kind of like classic Italian cuisine, but with her own like modern and seasonal twist. So the book is divided by seasons: summer, fall, winter, and spring. I always turn to it when we get a new produce that's in season, right? So I just saw rhubarb is available at the grocery store for the first time in a long time. So ready for spring. And I know, right, since we've made it so many times, Athena has a gorgeous pickled rhubarb and Humboldt fog goat cheese salad. So Cook Beautiful recipes are always top of mind. Right, the pickled rhubarb salad is a classic in our household. I adore her slow roasted long pork pacciari pasta. She has an incredibly tasty, kind of savory, sweet, crispy chicken thighs with shallots and dates. Can't tell you how many times we've made that one. I had a mishap the other day with this cookbook because in my hubris, I assumed that making panna cotta was easy. I assumed, I don't know why, but I thought, how hard can it be? It's cream and sugar and gelatin. And I was like, this will be easy. Here's the problem. I made it and it was a freezing cold night. I put it outside and it didn't set, rather it semi-froze. So it was patently not panna cotta, but I don't blame Athena Calderone for that. I blame, honestly, myself, and that's all I have to blame is me. But jokes aside, everything from this cookbook is lovely. The photography won her a James Beard Award. What can't she do at this point? I always turn to her when I want something that'll feel elevated and delicious and want to kind of show off a little bit, right? All the recipes feel not like I'm cosplaying this gorgeous and beautiful life, but a little bit like I'm cosplaying this gorgeous and beautiful life. So Cook Beautiful lives up to its name. Book of beautiful recipes that you will turn to time and time again. Finally, to wrap things up, my final favorite cookbook that, you know, if you follow anything and anyone in the food world, you know about this woman, right? Samin Nosrat's Good Things was possibly my most anticipated cookbook of last year, of 2025. I adore Samin. I've followed her for a long time. I've watched her Netflix series that came out about her cooking adventures multiple times now. I wish there were more episodes. I even watched a couple episodes of her children's show, Waffles and Mochi. Probably it's what influenced me to name my cat Mochi. Who's to say? I even went to see Samin on book tour when she came through to Columbus and was introduced by a local author, Hanif Abdurraqib, who's just an excellent writer himself. Shout out to Samin's podcast, Home Cooking. I'm not currently wearing it, but I have one of the sweatshirts that has their little sardines on the cover, and I get compliment on that sweatshirt all the time. Mostly because I think people like sardines, not because they know it's a podcast. But Good Things by Samin Nosrat is in response to the fact that she came out with her first James Beard awarding cookbook, like right out the gate in, I want to say 2018. Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat is what inspired the eponymous Netflix show and what really launched her into fame. The main thing people wanted out of that cookbook, which was kind of not the point, was they wanted more recipes. The conceit of Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat was that once you know these 4 key principles, you'll be able to cook without recipes. For Samin, that was very freeing because she was a longtime chef at very high quality restaurants like Chez Panisse in Berkeley, which I've been to. And it was so good, guys. It's not overrated. And so she takes, 8 years really to write her second book. And in large part, it's in response to the fact that people were like, yes, we know we could cook without recipes. But what if you gave us a book of recipes? We loved everything we've made out of this. Just last weekend, I had friends over and I made, and I am not kidding when I tell you, I made the best dip I think I've ever had. It was a caramelized shallot Lebna dip. Just bonkers, right? Yeah, it took an hour to caramelize those onions, and it was worth every single minute of it. We've also made her honey dinner rolls. She has everything from kind of like soup to nuts in this book. She's got dessert, she's got dips, she's got starters, she's got really punchy sauces and flavors. Her green sauce is actually, ironically, very akin to the green sauce my husband makes and has made for years because it's based off a sauce from a pizza restaurant in Berkeley that they use to dip the pizza crust in. In a lot of ways, Good Things feels like it's always been part of our cookbook collection and our culinary life together, but now it is formally part of our culinary life together. Good Things from Samin, another one of my absolute all-time favorite cookbooks. And she just has a lovely energy to her. Really, all of these folks do. They really care about their communities. They care about food and creating a welcoming environment in their homes for people to come and share and be. And I don't know what else really matters in this chaos world that we live in, where every day feels a bit uncertain, right? I don't know about you, but I've been really craving the sense of belonging and community and friendship that each of these women have cultivated themselves. And for me, these cookbooks symbolize, every time I get a new cookbook or every time I crack open an old favorite, it symbolizes the future moments to come that I get to share with the people I love most. And if we're here to do nothing else on this earth in this lifetime, then we're here to make people feel loved and cook good food and eat good food, y'all. That's all I got. So tell me what your favorite go-to cookbooks are in the comments. I want to hear from you. I welcome your insights. And if you've tried any of these yourself, I want to hear, what do you think? Until next time.